Um, let's go into the book. Yep, it's a little delayed. No, we're frozen. Or is that? Yeah, it hasn't moved. So I need to back out and restart it, right? Yeah. So go back. See, that was delayed. So actually, I think it is live.
We're going in.
No, I think it's just delayed. So we're good. We can go and go in then, right? See, watch.
Can you guys see me on your screen?
No, cannot.
Yeah, I can see you guys,
You
and
can see
there's not.
us.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'm
You can
blocking
see
off or
us.
anything.
Oh, see, it doesn't. It doesn't have him on there now. There you go. You're back. What? No, you just went off again. Should I close out and go back in it again? Stop and start virtual camera. Can you see us?
I can see you guys. Yeah.
Okay, he can see us, but we just can't see him. Yeah. Okay. That was on a separate. There we go. Yeah, you're on that one. All right. Yeah. Okay. So can you see yourself now?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. All right. So at this point, then all we got to do is go back to Facebook, right? All right. Man, so much of a process. All right.
I think when you went to Facebook, it shut me out again.
It did. I
Yeah,
still
because I
see
can.
you.
Oh, if you can still see me, we're good then.
Yeah, I can still
Uh,
see you.
All right. Well, the only thing, like, usually whenever I'm looking at your
Are you on
screen,
OBS?
it's
Oh, you think if I do split screen, you think it might refresh Facebook? Let's move the side bar over a little bit. No, because it doesn't show them. Yeah. See that? Okay, there he is there. So it's probably just got a little delay to it. Let's see if you raise your hand. Yep. No, not you, Montell. You're good. I think Josh kind of did like one of these deals, so I
Mhm.
was just making sure that it shows it on his because I think Facebook Live is usually like a yeah. See, you're it's about 20, 30 seconds behind. Okay, so we're good though, right? All right.
Let's get it.
What'd you say? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody's tagged. Episode 9. All right, Montel. Let's get busy.
Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, after one hell of a ride.
It's always a ride.
Jeez, man, that's a ride I don't want to pay, man. It's like an Uber that I want to get out as soon as I sit down. Um, man, we're finally here.
Where are we?
I still haven't figured it out, man. I'd like to think we're here at the Immaculate Podcast Arena, but I am here with one, the only Mr. Ja. Oh wait, nope, that's not my cue.
announce me, I'll announce you.
All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here at the Immaculate Podcast, and I am here with the one, the only, Josh Stratton.
Don't think we have video
I
again.
don't think. Oh my gosh. No, we're good, dude.
Oh, okay,
We
we're
gotta-
just disconnected,
we just-
reconnected.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just
okay.
it's dude, it keeps doing it. It all it says is just keeps reconnecting. But we're good, man. We're good.
We're good. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. But for the ones that didn't hear, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Immaculate Podcast. Obviously, you know who I am, but I'm gonna give my co-host that opportunity. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the one, the only, the man, myth, the legend. They call him Josh Stratton.
Hold for applause. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And my partner, the host of the Immaculate Podcast, the Immaculate One, Mike Marcus.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hold your applause.
Oh.
We got a special guest.
Whoa. Who's this on our camera?
Yes.
Yo,
Ladies and gentlemen, this man needs no rap sheet. He needs no introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. Everybody, I need you to give it up for the man, actually, I would call him the GOAT. He won't say that because he's too humble, but I'm going to say it anyway. The man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT, the #1 draft pick. Montell Hero, ladies and gentlemen.
let's go. Let's go.
We gotta give it to the real man over here. Yo, this has been one hell of a ride, and I'm glad you're finally on it. I know this has been a whole process,
Bro.
but I'm grateful that you're here, man. You're live. Shout out to the Facebook fans. All y'all chiming in, tuning in, and checking out what we got going on. We just want to thank all y'all for that as well. We appreciate the support. Make sure you go on that page, you like, you click, you share, you subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button, especially when you get on YouTube, because that's where you can find the other juicy content.
Ooh, all
Let's
the
go.
juice, and it's getting juicier. Whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
What is that supposed to
I
mean?
have no idea.
Yeah, all right, cool.
I'm
We'll let
just-
that one. We'll let that one slide a little
I'm
bit.
sharing links. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll back this.
Yeah, it's all good. No, it's all good. No, but guys, this man here needs no introduction if I'm being 100% honest. But I know for the ones that don't know him, what better yet to ask the man himself to allow him to explain everything about himself. I've known this guy since, middle school?
Middle school.
Man used to terrorize us on the basketball and football court and field, sports all the time, and you turn out to be who you are, man. It's
Yeah.
it's extremely
I'll
incredible
connect
that
again.
we come thus far, and we're here doing it again. We're just doing it in a different way. Why don't you
Yeah.
tell the people, man? Tell them about yourself.
Well, for the people in Evansville, you guys know me as Montell Carter. For the people that follow me and everything else on Facebook and people in Arizona, they know me by Montell Hero. A lot of people ask me, well, what was that transition from the idea of Montell Carter to Montell Hero? Well, Montell Carter always been my name. Great memory, great family history behind that. But the hero idea is about the philosophy that I followed, that I developed over time of just living life. For example, hero means honor yourself at all times, embrace life as it comes to you, reflect on everything that comes across your path because you're learning as you're living, and overcome whatever comes next. By understanding that philosophy is what I do whenever I speak to whoever I come across. That's what I breathe, what I eat, what I exude, and everything that I do. So that's kind of like a mantra in some extent, followed by let's go. You understand hero, then you follow it by let's go, let's get it started. And it's one of those things. I'm a self-motivator first of all, and to understand who I am, you have to really understand what it means to push the mind in the limits of reality.
We still got you?
To get your and for me that's life for me, man. So that's how I say who I am. I am a person that will, if I desire something, if I see something going on, I'm gonna voice my opinion, I'm gonna make it happen. And it's been great, man.
Hey, that's a blessing right there, man. And something I've been dying to ask you, man. I was looking at the name that you typically use. It's mystic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
what does mystic mean exactly? Because I know you can use it in a multitude of ways, but like I really want to understand Montell Hero and not Montell Carter, because that's
right.
obvious to Montell Carter. And I know
Yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
explained about the hero part, but the mystic part is the part I really want to understand.
Yeah, and I want you to also know if I seem like I'm hesitating, it's because sometimes you go in and out,
Yeah.
so I wait for you.
Yeah.
So I want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm answering the question correctly. You asked me, you want to know about Montel Carter,
Yeah.
and you want to know about the Michael Hero.
Yeah.
Well, so the mystic idea is wherever you go, everyone has a term for it. Let's say in the Western medicine, they call it just an active scientist, right? And let's say in the spiritual ideal realm of everything, like you can say the metaphysical realm, we can call it mystics, or even let's say go into my roots about like, because I'm African and Native American. So go into my roots about it, you can call it a medicine man, you can call it Hayoka, you can call it, and the mystic comes down to, I look at the land, I look at how things are going, the psychology behind the society that we're in. And then from there, not only learn about history, about or even about our abilities from school, but understand, well, how was this school created to give the information out, and what is it doing to our society and also our community? So if for me, I'm an active scientist of life, and that's what a mystic is. And from my experiences firsthand of doing that type of study, it showed me, where I'm able to see non-dimensional beings, well, some people call light beings, some people call ancestors. And then it's also shown me, like in the Western medicine, they call it a biosphere,
Interesting.
to where everything that you feel that you think, you're able to create your reality from it. And you're also, depending on what you think and how you feel, you dictate your own natural health or how you relate to other people around it. So for me, a mystic has always been the science of life. And for example, if someone traced back everything that I've done, it's always been dealing with people all the time, right?
Right.
Dealing in, I worked in some of the school systems back in Evansville. I worked in youth programs. I was a police officer in Kansas City. I also done tons of police camps and everything else, and different government like learning groups in Evansville. So, and then beyond that, religiously, my grandfather was a pastor. We travel around all around the country, hearing different sides of how people represent their belief systems of everything. So I was always observant whenever I was young, and then also I was able to tap into the different gifts that we all are presented with, but excel it to a whole nother level. And by doing that now, because I've been doing it for so long, ever since I was extremely young, I'm able to present it to people and show people results with the idea what people call, what true healing is, not just by with words, but also how the electromagnetic field works. And then, my life just shows the results of that. So,
So before I go into any kind of questions I have, because I do have 1,000 questions for you, um, is there anything off limits? I always like to ask this out of respect,
I,
just so that way I'm not nobody's blindsided or anything like that. Because sometimes the viewers will ask questions, and I will ask those that come
mhm,
offhand, and I try to catch them in real
mhm.
time the best I can. But I want to make sure that that's nothing that's going to be of a concern.
With me being able to tell and to do what I do, I'm always working with everyone, and the best way to find truth is to be totally open. And I love the challenge of seeing what people's going to ask. It's exciting because a part of being a channeler is you whenever life hits you, what are you going to do with it? Or whenever someone asks you a question, what are you going to do with the energy?
So I must ask.
How are you going to answer it? And without judgment or anything, I don't care about those things. You know what I mean? So it's like, ask away anything that you want to ask. Nothing's off limits. I'm an open book, and you say you got 1,000 questions. I have 1,001 answers.
Hey. So, are you religious?
I'm not, like I said, being a mystic is about discovery, right? So for me, religious is more of, for me, of an action, right? Are you religiously doing something? So let's break down that question a little more, shall we, Micahs? Right?
All right. Well, let me just straight up ask you: do you believe in God?
You have to, right? But do I understand it in the way that other people present it? That's the question that is important to really understand. With, like I said, with the heritage of Native Americans and everything else, right? They believed in uh, everything has life force, and they appreciate everything that has life force, right? Now, if a person may not understand that, they may take advantage of the resources in a certain way. And then for a person that may not understand it, they may look at a different aspect of life and say, this is God, right? But for a person that looks at everything that has life, that was given life, everything is one, but is presented in multiple ways. So for me, I understand that everything is one and presented in multiple ways. So there's no one way that I look at a subject or a situation, but I do respect all that there is. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So, if I'm just gonna be straight blunt, anytime
I
comes
don't
up,
expect.
if someone would hear what you just said that doesn't necessarily
Mhm.
understand it, and they try to say, "Well, is Jesus your savior?" Are you over here thinking like, "Shut up, bitch"? You know, you know, like, like, is there like a certain way that like you can
No,
dumb it
no,
down to like
yeah,
for someone who would
yeah,
understand exactly? I completely understand what you're explaining,
right,
but like for someone it's like, well, you just don't believe in God because there's people like that. Like,
right.
well,
Well, here's the thing. Um, if I were to tell you that I believed in God, that means that I was only trying to please you. I will only try to please you to try to help you understand what I understand. With me, I don't want to tell you something to please you. Uh, I feel that my actions speaks louder than words. So if someone asks me that, I can straight up be like, no. Okay, so then what's the next step from there? Then in their mind, they would possibly create a judgment. In their mind, they would possibly say he doesn't live up to the standards that I live up to, right? But for me, what honestly, whatever another person has going on in their mind, and whatever heartache or judgment they want to give me, why would that matter to me if their judgment doesn't matter to anything that goes on in my reality?
right,
You see what I mean? So it's just like I'm straight up for religiously, like I said, I've done studies of what goes on in church and also done studies of how it started. And
can I
for
stop you for
me,
1 second?
yeah, go ahead.
Do you think church is really what it's supposed to be in the Bible, or do you think it's a modified money grab?
Well, even in the Bible, the person that you call your savior, Jesus Christ, went through the church and started flipping over tables. And also, even in the Bible, the one that people call Yahshua or Jesus, he always had great conversations in the mountains or by water, anything along those lines, right?
Yeah.
So if we take what he did and just put it into a building, ideally, then we taken away from the glory of what he was trying to express in all that there is and all that we actually have. You know what I mean? And if we relate that not just out of church and relate it to our school systems, um, we spend children spend 8 hours a day inside learning about how to become a employee, not a business owner, but an employee,
Right. That's facts.
right? But if you have a person that is able to explore, like millionaires, they're not the buildings all day. They're creating more ideas to create more income, right?
Right.
And I think in order to do that, you have to be able to travel around and actually see how people think, because people are the consumers of business, right? So the go back to church, ideally, to understand the essence of the world, you have to be in the world there to actually feel it and endure it. But if you're staying in the building and you're only listening to what one person perspective is, that comes from what another person written in a book, and not necessarily feeling it and enduring it and fully understanding it, tasting it, then how can you ever truly call yourself a master of your reality or get the full benefits of what's given to you for free? Because you always think you got to pay for it, or you have to be less than in some sense.
Right. So I don't know if you came up with any questions, but I'm just firing them off rapidly as I'm thinking is like what an average person, I'm going to say average because that sounds bad, as a typical person that may not understand would ask,
Mhm.
which I feel like they would ask this, are you a part of a cult, or what you do, is it a cult? Because like
No.
when I
Heck,
watch when I watch your,
what was that one button you pushed last time?
Shut up, bitch.
I think this is the button you actually needed right here.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one right
Yeah.
there.
No, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's what someone would ask, like that would see your content and then be like, well, he talks about these things that like we can't really understand, and he's got a bunch of women that are always on his video. Like,
Mhm.
is this a cult? Is this like some sort of excluded group that this guy creates? But like,
Right.
I see it because as you explain the simple fact how like Jesus had learned things in his life through nature, and to be out there and stuff like that, it makes perfect sense. So like
Yeah.
I mean I understand your logic behind it. Um,
Right.
and I mean, perfect example about the school systems. Like, I think the school systems are crap because they don't teach you how to prepare life. We had talked about this on a previous podcast, and it was simply talking about how like there's classes that should be mandatory in school, like learning how to file taxes, learning
Right.
the reason of Social Security, learning the
Right.
purpose of credit,
Right.
learning what the abilities of trade schools are instead of going to like college and things like
Mhm.
that. And they teach you the blue collar jobs, and you
Mhm.
know, like you got government, econ, and all these type of things. But like out of everything that we learned, like what prepared us for the things that we encounter now or when we were in our younger 20s. So like I
Right.
totally agree with you.
So I wanted to let you know that you blocked out again, but I also want to mention something that you said about the coat and the women and everything.
Yeah.
So we have to remember that Europeans got information from Roman. Roman got information and everything from the Egyptians. Most of the Egyptians lead women. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yes.
So this means that the society of how we view women today is degrading in the fact that someone thinks that I'm leading a cult because there are women who wants to speak up. My conversations are more for whoever comes can sit and talk about it. It just happens that there are high intelligent women that want to speak about what they see. So we can't say that I'm leading anyone. I'm only having a conversation with women, you know what I mean,
Right.
that wants to talk about it. And the same thing if I'm doing healings or anything else. I don't show I'm not a person that'd be like, hey, I'm a healer. I healed 1,000 people. You know, the idea of healing to me is understanding self. And also, I've worked with probably just as much men as I have women. So, because if I'm only showing you a glimpse, you know, I'm only showing you glimpses because if I showed you everything that I've done, you know, then you think that I'm trying to brag about what it is that I do. And it doesn't feel right to show people's personal business that we share intimately and then brag about, hey, they started off here and then exceeded past here and having a whole new life experience. Like that's not what this is about. the fact that I do podcasts is because I wanted to give people something else to think about that was free and they didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
You see what I mean? Because it's like I'm not asking for anyone to follow me. I'm not asking for uh hey, this is it. I'm saying, yo, there's other ways to solve problems that we all are presented with. I think actually in my last podcast, there was something that was said. It was just like you have a billion people that are going through trauma, right? And then you have one person that has peace. But you don't think that one person that has peace is more than that a billion people that has trauma, because you're just surrounded by just a billion people with trauma, and then you're going by numbers, right? But if you go by the result of their reality, why wouldn't you try to be or do things in your own way more like the person that is finding peace, instead of judging the person with peace by the billion trauma of people that are going through shenanigans?
Right.
So, in just like you said, the idea, oh, it's a cult and all this other stuff, is just like, that's, once again, that's the naiveness of a person's mind that does not know Montell.
Right.
That does, like, there's no transition from Montell Carter. The only transition from Montell Carter to Montell Hero is that um, the Carter name idea has no meaning to do with me. It has no reflection on anything of the being that I am now, because that name was given to me from ancestors that possibly went through slavery. You see what I mean? So as a person that loves his own style, that loves to do what he wants to do, why am I going to continue to share this trauma idea of a name with the next generation? When you say you are a master of your reality, I kept Montell just because my mother gave me that name, right? And if a lot of people know what it means in Hebrew, it means my ruler, right? So, so when people say people's name, you don't even necessarily know what you're saying.
Right.
But because I pay attention to my reality of everything that I digest and put in my mind, then it's like, all right, I don't like how that was created from a person that did not pay attention to what they were putting into their mind.
Right.
So we all got to become more understanding of ourselves, so then we'll be able to create the life that we want to live, instead of kind of just going off of old information. And that can also be attributed to the other question you asked me before now of, do I believe in God, right? Because the miracles that I see on a daily basis are some things that are also mentioned in the Bible, but are not taught in the same manner. So then why would I continue going off of someone else's words whenever they can want to have a conversation with me about what they know, but they're not open enough to have a conversation with me about what I know? So we gotta really be able to be like, hey, if we want to evolve as a organization of people, we got to be open to the findings of other things, right? And the things that I say that I present are not anything that goes into a cult. It's something that is scientifically discovered, proven. You can check the physics behind it. So it's just more of an accelerated understanding of learning than what was presented to us decades ago.
I
And
was about to say that, like in the 80s and 90s, this would definitely be a cult. You know what I mean, or this sort of thinking. But today, it's a whole nother ball game. People aren't following the Hebrew God anymore. Like they did. They're realizing that it's not even necessarily a God. It's a higher power. There's something greater than us that connects all of us. And that was something that was taboo a while ago. But I think that's trend setting. I mean, following what you truly believe and not worrying about any persecution for it. Like I have family members that are Native American, and they talk about the same sort of thing, and they would get just teased and made fun of, because if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell.
Right.
But
right.
but what about all the Native Americans that were here before? What about the Hindu? What about the Buddhists? Now these people necessarily believed in Jesus Christ of Nazareth, but does that mean that hell's full of all these great people? It's
Right.
uh,
All right.
yeah, I
Right.
feel you 100%.
there's a lot of
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there's a lot of unrecognizable programming that's going on in our society, right? For example, you know, like I'm gonna relate this to the business world. For example, in the business world, to look professional, a lot of people say you have to have a clean cut your hair and everything else, right?
Right.
Right. But that's also because now people follow that because, you're paper chasing, right? But on the scientific side of everything, do you actually know how beneficial your hair is for your body to be healthy? You see what I mean? So then, for example, you are basically electromagnetic, right? So that means that your hair also senses those things, and it also enhances your senses, right? And it also, if you do have a decent amount of hair, it also reflects the health of your body. Same thing with your fingernails and everything else,
Right.
right? So if you have something that represents the way that you're living, but people tell you to cut it, then you're taking away more information that you can learn about yourself. So, I relate that back to what you were saying. It's like, we're programmed to try to survive in society, but we're not looking at the people who makes the rules. What are their lives like? You know what I mean? It's like, the president, we get into presidents now. If they're elected and gone, then who's running the city as, they leave it, or running the country as they leave and gone? We know there's people behind the scenes, and that sometimes the
Dude,
president's a puppet.
that whole government system, I have like my own little debate about that because I think it's full of crap.
Right.
And just even the Statue of Liberty, I have my own configuration of research that I've done. And so when they preach about we're going to start doing more about God and all this, and I just go, well, what God are you talking about? Because I know for a fact you're not talking about the same one that I'm talking about.
Right.
So
Right.
I totally get that. I won't go into that because that's a completely different topic, and I don't want to get off of it. But I do want
Yeah.
to ask. So you said you're a healer. Like,
Mhm.
what are you healing exactly?
Right. So on an atomic level, like we all have magnetic field, and this is created by how we live our life, how healthy we are, and everything else, and how our atoms move through our body and everything else. For me, I've learned how to. People call it in different cultures like chi, kai, and everything. I learned how to really maneuver my chi and kai because of the way that I think. Right. So, for example, let's say that you say move your toe, right? What did you do?
Removed it.
You moved it, but
But
you
but
did
but
it.
you had to generate enough to be able to move it.
Hmm. Hmm. And then the thought. What came first? Was it the thought or was it the movement?
It was the thought. You had to think it first.
Okay, so now imagine if you're always thinking of the worst thing happening in your life, or you're thinking less than yourself in your life. What are you throwing through your body?
Yeah, you're putting that negative energy, and yeah, that's going to be able to portray that, make it a
Yeah.
reality.
So it's atoms, right? It's on an atomic level. So I'm extremely sensitive, and my electromagnetic field is extremely strong to where I can feel other people's electromagnetic fields, and also feel where they having pain at, because it's a sense. That's how your nervous system is able to sense it. There's a physical thing there your eyes just can't see, but because I'm sensitive to it, I'm able to sense it, feel it, and see it, and then I help that collaboration of atoms that has formed inside of you move out. So then your body and your nervous system is able to relax more, and then also I kind of teach you the things that I've learned over time to be like, hey, you can do this as well, but you got to break away from the programming that you're less than. You got to break away from the program that you can't do it. You got to break away the programming and the fear that installed in us, and in every like turn of your life. And once you're able to do that, like, because you understand how powerful you are, you don't necessarily have to wish for great things to happen to you. The things, like, you are the reflection of what you are, if that makes sense. You are the essence. That's why I say, I don't meditate because I'm always in a meditative state. You see what I mean? I don't pray because because I'm always thankful. You see what I mean? So even if I seem frustrated, it's the fact that if a person is man enough to say, or a woman or whoever can say something to me, then why would I be afraid to tell them my thoughts? You see what I mean?
Right.
So it's to where now if a person says something to me and I didn't say anything, it would be because, oh, I'm afraid of conflict, or I don't want it to. Where it's just like where I'm from, it's just like, I come from a family that voices what they feel, their opinion, and then we can have a legitimate conversation about it, just like we're having now, right? Just like we're talking about some of the most intimate things about our being that in the past caused conflict as we continue to live out life, right? So and then just like when I say, women used to be rulers, but because of a person that disrespected the power of women and even just the power of people, they try to make it less than in our society. And now people who are born into being a woman or a male are forgetting who they are because of the programming that they were less than that's been set into place for so long.
Hey, hold on.
So
I got to put that out, bro. Hold on. I got to put a Don DeMarco on that, bro. Oh, that was some good facts right there. I got some things I want to push back on, but I do believe when you say people are confused, it's by their upbringing and their awareness of what they keep telling themselves, and
mhm,
and that misleading that they have been accustomed to. So like I do agree with you on that.
right.
But do you believe in blessings?
I believe in that. If you believe in blessings, then that means you feel that you had a lack of blessings. You see, so or if you, I believe that, like I said, it goes back to my idea of what trauma and healing is. Trauma is the lack of understanding of self, that those decision making that you don't understand about yourself will lead you to other moments of your life that will help you understand your life if you are wise enough to understand it. Healing is that you understand the process, and because you understand the process, you're interiorly changing your perspective about the situation. And then organically, you're releasing that buildup that I was talking about, and then transforming your life to where you may perceive that you're being blessed, but literally you're drawing those blessings to you because of your being and understanding, to where you let go of those lessons of trauma and then you develop the understanding of healing.
So I got to push back on that. And I mean, Josh, don't hesitate to chime in at any time. I want to try to catch this in real time. So for me, I believe in blessings. I believe what you put into it is what you get out of it, which essentially agrees with what you're saying.
Hmm.
But I do believe that you like I'm one of these people that I try to always keep a positive mindset.
Hmm.
And I always get people all the time. They're like, "Dude, why are you so happy?" Like when people see me all the time out, they're like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" First thing I
Hmm.
would say is, "Dude, I'm a blessed man because God woke me up today."
Hmm.
Someone did not wake up. That's a fact.
Hmm.
Now, whether you want to look at that as in a negative or a positive is completely up to you.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
right,
see what
right. And then that's why I said that's where I agree with you on.
so
Go ahead, go ahead.
what you're saying is like you said, I don't think that we disagree at all.
No,
I think that what we have to understand, there's a part of the difference between having faith, and then there's a difference between knowing, right? So the fact that uh let's talk about the example you had of someone dies, right? So I've been in a hospital whenever a person made a transition, right? The family's there, they're crying, and um, the other guy who I was looking at, he's the person in the hospital that's had surgery, and they're not for sure if he's going to make it or not. But all they see right now coming from this body is that he's twitching, not saying anything, but twitching, right? So then once that person started to twitch, I also was able to see why he was twitching because of who was standing next to him that no one else could see why he was twitching and rubbing his head, basically saying everything is going to be okay, right? Once his, you could call it energy or spirit or whatever you want to call it, made that transition, then his body went back to what it was in the beginning, and that's going back to the earth, right? Then there's when that happens, you see that there's not really any more electromagnetic force in his body anymore. So then this electromagnetic force leaves the body. So then, because of our belief system, we're crying over this instead of trying to learn more about the electromagnetic field that we have. So that goes back to uh, only believing in what we were given and not actually looking at what is really there and how much that can change our lives. If we understand there's truly no death, it's just a transition from our experience. And then the difference is that if if you have faith they're going in a great place, that means you're still hoping for the best, not necessarily sure. But once you know, because you've been through so many situations and the outcome is only getting greater and greater of understanding, then you start knowing that's how it works, right? So that's why I said for me, it's just like if I say anything about anything, it's because I've seen so much of it and done so much study on it that it's just like I'm not surprised and I don't go by old beliefs because it's like, oh yeah, this is how it works. So then that also calms my mind down, my way of seeing life to be like, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit we was given, but once you learn about it, it's blissful. And then for the naysayers, you don't pay them no mind because it's not that you don't care. It's just that they haven't done the research on themselves, and it's not like even when someone says something negative about me, it's like it's not something that I even like normally wish harm upon them because there's some sense in their life they're probably harming themselves with their lack of knowing. And the way that you can harm yourself with your lack of knowing is by having fearful thoughts.
You believe in heaven or hell?
I believe that you have the opportunity to make heaven or hell in every moment.
What do you believe?
Well, right now I believe that the way that I live my life is I'm extremely happy with it. And if I even waste time to think of hell, then why would I add that into my life that I'm extremely happy with?
Yeah, that was the question I have. Like when you cross over, where's that plane? I mean, is there a mythical streets of milk and honey, or does your electricity stay here on Earth as different things? You know, you just become one with the universe,
Yeah,
or is
like
that
like a different form.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Well,
what's your afterlife?
I think I'm gonna give you an example right now. Like, let's think about what we're doing with the questions. Let's think about what we're doing with our energy when we think to ask these questions. We put ourselves in a state of wondering, right?
Right.
So that's a state of being. Wondering is a state of being. So then if we put ourselves in a state of happiness, whenever you see all these other people upset, right?
Right.
Those states of being that you're put into. And by doing that, the state of being that you're kind of judging your state of being from is the reflection of how your body is responding. How you feel something or how you think is what you feel inside of your body, right? But the thought is faster than the speed of light, right? Thoughts are faster than the speed of light. So this means that everything once you exit, you have no more like pull on gravity or anything like that. You can explore all that there is. You can combine with everything you in, just like physics, like atoms, right? There's certain atoms that create carbon, oxygen, and everything else. So if you have a conscious understanding of that, you can explore all those things. If you want to experience your version of hell when you're outside of your body, all you have to do is in your mind think about what hell will be like. But you also have to know that you have the full capabilities to shift that. So we got to think about what is when you say you forgive someone, what happens? And that means that you're creating this frustration in your body that's really tight. You're breathing differently, you're frustrated, right? But then because of something you saw over time, people were just like, you know what, I forgive that person. And they realize I feel better, right?
Right.
So that's the doorway. That equation is the doorway to heaven and hell. You can hate someone and feel what that feels like and what it's doing to you, or you can f- ideally forgive them and then realize other thoughts that you couldn't maintain yourself in. So that's why when people be like, hey, I would like forgiveness from God, and God is always going to give us forgiveness and everything else, we just honestly walk through that process of what that necessarily is some sense is doing to our energetic form. We're letting we're we're forgiving ourselves by understanding what we are doing. And that's a lesson in itself of understanding how to evolve beyond our stars, our planet. Like, we got to think the teachings that we have here on Earth are different in everywhere, right? On Earth, like we can go and speak to a native, or we can go and speak to someone in China, and we have a whole total different understanding. And even when they speak, our language is so different that we may say something to each other, they may not understand it, they may not be phased by it, right? But to us, let's say if someone calls you, you know, a word that people normally don't like a beach ball or something along those lines, you can get offended from your beliefs. But let's think about beyond our country, beyond our states, and go into like a whole nother world. Like, what I'm explaining to you is prevalent. They understand the movement of energy. Their technology is so far advanced that they have no need to think about the clumsy mindsets that we have here. So then their idea of heaven and hell may not even exist. And to think about that now, because as you can see on the news and everything else, we're getting there. We're getting there, guys.
Yeah,
You know, we've seen
we're
orb.
toward the end for sure.
we're getting we're getting towards the end of like, you know, if you pay attention to the news and everything, it's like for years we've always been talking about like aliens and everything else, right? But now we're no longer just talking about them. We got a lot of people seeing them, right? So now we got to ask ourselves, if there are so, and astronauts and everything else we're talking about, well, there's other cultures out there that didn't come from where we come from, don't look like what we look like, but we're still tripping over the concept of racism, then what type of hell are we putting ourselves through here? And just more of why we're doing that, and what can we truly put out there to make it so that we're actually living in heaven. And I think that's a really challenging thing to do, because when you do it, you got that billion people going through trauma trying to judge what you're doing because they aren't happy and they don't understand it. So you got to have a knowing about yourself and understanding to be able to get through and navigate your way through these circumstances, these learning environments. And I think that's a beautiful thing all the way around.
Um, you were talking about like seeing aliens and stuff like that. Me personally, I think it's all full of crap.
Hmm.
I believe that we're seeing angels and demons,
Hmm.
and I think the reality is they don't want the public to know that,
Hmm.
because I feel like everything is built off of a lie at that point. So you create these alien-like figures. Um, I'm not saying they're not real. I'm just saying I believe what people are seeing aren't
Hmm.
aliens. That's all I'm saying. Um,
Well, I don't think the things that they're seeing call themselves aliens either.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
exactly,
know what I mean?
exactly.
So so that's why we have to pull ourselves out of titles.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And look at what people are, what they're presenting and who they are. And in order to do that, you got to be able to step out of your own box and what you believe in, and spend time investigating, exploring, and just living out of your ordinary comfort zone, you know. And by doing that, that will also be able to, you will no longer call them aliens. You're like, oh no, that's Jeff. You know, that's Micus. You know what I mean? He may look different. He may have a different understanding of his perspective of life because he traveled light years away, right?
Right.
But but we can't close it off. Be like, oh, he's an alien, I'm not gonna listen to him. That
Sure.
goes against my way of living. So it comes still down to the mindset of what you open your mind up to truly understand, and what you ignorantly block off.
I'm glad you brought up the whole like what you put your mind to. So, me personally, we were talking about, like I said, we were just on the topic about the aliens and what the media is pushing.
Mhm.
You believe what's going on in LA? Do you believe that is a natural accident, or do you think that is engineered?
Well, like I said before, I make any statements, I always like to do my investigation on it and like explore it, see it. So I don't believe what people say, right? Because we don't have enough evidence yet, right? Do I think some crazy stuff is going on? I just went to Maui. and Maui, they have another fire similar to the same thing. And there's a lot of assumption and speculation that there's some type of high tech laser beams and stuff that's going down because there's cars that are roasted, and then there's bricks that are just broken in half, and then there's trees that are not touched, right? So there's a lot of speculation going on, but you know, I feel like I don't have enough evidence to give or study to give my opinion on it. The only thing that I can say about it is that um, I'm being observant about it. But at the same time, it goes back to, what are we going to do with our own lives, even if this stuff is going on? What's
Right.
the next step? And that's where I'm always working towards.
Sure.
So if we're talking about the next step that needs to happen, even though these things are going on, for example, I moved to Arizona because I don't like the cold, right? All of my kids here with me climbing on top of a mountain in the sun because 5 years ago, I didn't like the cold and I wanted a better place for them to live. And not just, the code, I'm joking, but educational wise and society wise and open minded wise. So now, because I didn't like the code, my decision 5 years ago, they're not experiencing blockouts of lights, electricity. They're not experiencing what I've already set in motion 5 years ago. You
Right.
see what I mean? Is is it a coincidence? No, because I know it snows there and I don't want to be in the snow, right? So the same thing about these things can happen, but because I put so much time into manifesting my reality, manifesting, understanding my body, my mind, that a lot of that stuff can happen, but it will have a different effect on me because we don't. I'm in Arizona and we don't see any smoke. We're not getting anything. We're in the 70s right now,
Right.
and it's sunny, and then there, you guys are close to below zero, and you guys are going through a lot of stuff. So it's just like in every what I help, try to teach people is like, yo, well, the idea is if you're going on vacation or, why? Why don't you make your life a vacation? Why don't you make your life heaven instead of going and doing the same things that cause what you don't like that could cause you hell later on?
So, me personally, I think that the fires are engineered. Um,
Mm,
I'm of the mindset of that. That does not
mhm,
change what I do on a daily. My
mhm,
mindset is always thinking positively. I
mhm.
worry about the lost lives. I worry about the ones that are going to lose everything or have lost everything.
Right.
But I pray for those people, and um, despite me understanding the reality, I agree with you on it's what your mindset is and what you create to be able to build a positive foundation, to be able to,
Right.
like you said, mentally and just like spiritually, like put you on the right direction. So like,
Right.
I agree with you on that. Um,
Well,
but I also live in the reality of we live in a crooked system
mhm,
that is all about not how the person's makeup should be. It's about the dollar amount.
mhm,
Everything now, it like there's a cost of it, and I
mhm,
just don't think whether you have a religious belief, whether you're, um, you're Mr. Your mindset is like I'm more of a spiritual type of thing. Um, whatever your mindset makeup is, the reality is we understand that um, we kind of are of a minority, with that mindset, and it
mhm,
shows in the public. Like you
mhm,
said, it shows when people do. I'm just gonna say like demonic things, whether
mhm.
it's kill, steal, everything. They obviously they had an opportunity to change that mindset before they executed the action.
Right.
So that's I don't believe a lot that I see on TV. I'm like you. I try to make sure I fact check and go
Mhm,
find a resource of some sort. But
mhm.
like I think what's going on in LA, 100% is engineered.
And I think, to go back to, the idea of, the mindset, I'm a person that, if I want to experience something and I want to learn something, like, for example, me becoming a police officer, right? It's like for years, I put a lot of time into gathering what I needed to convince these people aboard that I can do the job that you trying to train people to police in the neighborhoods I grew up in. Like, think about that. Like, becoming a police officer, you know, they're trying to hire people to police in neighborhoods that other people grew up in,
Right.
and then, for a person that's trying to become a police officer from those neighborhoods, they don't have the, some don't have the level of education that some of these other people have, like some of these other cops.
Do you believe in our political system, or not political? I'm sorry. Do you believe in our police system?
I think, I think I have met great people who work in government, but I also have witnessed firsthand uh, people do terrible things that work in the government from ignorance and misunderstanding and because of power struggle. So I don't group it all. I can't group it all. I would be no different than a person that called himself racist. Oh, I had this experience with this one black guy. And now, because of that experience, possibly that racist person takes that judgment and put it all on this other culture, or the opposite. This black guy came in contact with this other culture guy and said, "Hey, your whole people who look like you of a skin color of this particular skin color are ignorant, right? You can't do it. You got to take it basis by basis."
Stupid.
So,
That's basically what they're saying.
yeah. So you gotta look at, and this is individuals. You gotta look at situations basis by basis, and going back to the LA fires and everything else. And I'm going back to what I was talking about the policing, because I went in there and I saw something, and this is why I changed to become a police officer. I saw something that I didn't like that a teammate did, and I told myself that, if I see this going on, I don't want to be a part of this team, right? So then, that's when I came back, got into like the school systems and everything else, and then from doing that, you start to learn how is that truly affecting the mindsets of people, or what is the benefits of this type of school system. So, is the government failing? There's sometimes it helps people and sometimes it doesn't. And it's a real challenge to teach people understanding of other people whenever they truly don't understand themselves. You know, it's kind of like, for example, if I was to break it down with a metaphor, you got to think about, uh, do you feel your blood pumping through your veins?
I don't know.
So that means a part of your mind is cutting that down, because it says that it's not necessary for you to feel your blood pumping through your veins, right?
How does that?
So if our mind automatically doing that, imagine what is going on in our world, right?
I was gonna ask, like, how does that necessarily benefit my mental makeup, though, of me not feeling my blood flow, like, and you say that I don't use a portion of my brain for that. Um,
Well, it goes.
Go ahead.
I see what you're. It goes down to like the things that people try to get you to eat, right?
I agree on that.
And
I do agree with you on that.
so when someone try to get you to eat something, if you can't really feel how it's affecting your body, but you're thinking that it's something that you're putting into your body, then you you're enduring something that could cause you to have cancer later on, that could have been prevented just by that first initial indicator of, hey, this doesn't feel right, but because someone told you this is right, this is how it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? It may give you a little bit of sensation that you can feel, but you don't feel how it's deteriorating the rest of your body until it's too late.
I mean,
So
could
to
you
go,
imagine though? I'm sorry. If you could feel your blood through your veins, that's kind of a safety mechanism too.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it is.
that's going to hide some other things going on. I
Yeah.
can feel my spleen pumping out by, the whole nine
I
yards.
mean, the
This
only
is
time I ever
that's
feel the blood flow pumping is when I'm at the gym. That's to be 100% honest. But my mentality makeup is about getting a pump. So my body in it almost becomes in tune with the blood flow, and that's how I'm able to feel the pump. Because when you isolate a body part, your mindset and makeup is focused on that one body part. So like it
Right.
100% makes sense. I don't disagree with you on that. But I don't want to go too far into it. I just want to ask you more about that. Um, and then we were talking about, so like you were talking about, you were in the police. You were dealing with the
Hmm.
police and stuff.
Hmm.
Or you were on the police force. Um,
Hmm.
and
Did
you and I have friends that have been on the other side of
it.
that and
Hmm.
may have been put in certain situations. Um, like what have you seen that needs to be corrected? And before I let you go into that, I wanted to thank everybody for also tuning in as well to watch this podcast, and for the ones that's going to be watching it after we're already off. We want to make sure you guys go on the page on the Immaculate Podcast to like, share, and subscribe, and then go on our YouTube page as well, and that's at the Immaculate Podcast as well, and make sure you guys do the same on that platform, because the more you guys get on the algorithm, we can get this content out to other people, because like information like this is very beneficial, and I want as many people to hear it as possible. We're just a bunch of grown men having a conversation, and that's how I see it. This isn't a career. We all do this on our own personal time. So I want to make sure that you guys are getting help getting that algorithm, pushing the algorithm out, so people that may not have the opportunity to know a Montell hero or a Micus or a Josh or even have Facebook for that matters can still find a way to get the content. So I do want to thank you guys for that. But back to the question. And guys, don't be afraid to chime in on questions. I know Josh, you kind of had said something in the comment section. Shout out to you, Sven. I know you're saying what's up, bro. What's up to you too, man. We're gonna catch up on the football gridiron. But you know, back to me asking you that question. We've had friends on the opposite side, and the things that you've seen. Has there been anything like of recent or something like that has happened in an event that made you go, "Whoa, wait a second, I need to make a stop, and I need to make a stance and stop this, and be able to bring light to a certain situation."
Well, I think that's honestly that's ingrained in my existence right now. Everything that I'm speaking about, it came from that. Like being extremely young and I don't know if you guys can call me. We're in the level of, I would have to say my brother's the OG in some sense of Evansville. But do you guys remember over there where I think in Lincoln right now area where there's like that swimming pool,
Yeah,
right? But before then, there used to be a whole total thing. There used to be a big hill. There used to be a skating rink and everything
yeah, I
else, right?
remember.
Yeah.
Always had
So
skating rink. I'd still be going to it if they had it.
so Evansville honestly used to be a whole different place than what it is now. I'm talking happiest times of our lives, right? S- So what? So whenever I talk about the things that I see, is not just what is necessarily going on now, but what also has went on in the past, and then seeing how that transition is somewhat trying to be made. Um, and where I'm getting at is that, of course, I've seen uh, a lot of injustice to where, uh, even with myself, just because I'm driving a Chevy, a Gold Chevy Complete Caprice on 20s, you know what I mean? Because in our neighborhood, that's the affordable sports car, right? But in the idea honor or something along that lines, right? So, hey, Mike, just let me know whenever if I go in and out because I see the screen keep going in and out. So let me know
Yeah,
if you guys can still hear
it's
me.
unfortunately it's been doing that. I don't really understand why. I mean,
Mhm.
Wi-Fi.
yeah,
Yeah,
listen,
we got to get you plugged in.
listen,
We got Google Meet. We got
listen.
Facebook.
I know it's the first time we had ran this, as far as through like a video, because we never really had issues when it's just like an in-house, but like for some reason like the connection is crazy. So guys, I apologize for the certain lag spikes that we're getting. I mean, heck, I literally have a mobile hotspot is right there, and that is literally an extender, just so we don't have issues like this, guys. So I apologize. We will get that corrected. Once again, this is the first time we've tried this, and the best way to learn is to just do it and figure it out. But no, you're good, man. Go ahead. I apologize.
All right. No, so I was talking about like seeing like the idea of low income, but also kind of average income and everything else, what it may do, and then how uh, at that time, let's say in 1996, around that area, how just Evansville was being policed. It was tough. It was tough, and this was before really cell phones had cameras and everything else. Or, Mike, as you and I, we used to go to, you know, parties and everything else, and then out of nowhere, we getting paintball, pepper spray, shots out
You
and
know,
everything.
the feds be listening, man. Be careful. Hey, listen. Whenever you said parties, everybody over here was thinking over here like, you know us, man. We was we was having great times back then. But
Yeah.
anyway, carry on, man. Carry on.
So to see how a group of people that's supposed to be in authority will handle that, right, in a situation that a certain culture that may not be understood had a great time, and then how it just escalated to some extent, and then also the literature between two different peoples of two different cultures would just kind of combine with each other that didn't necessarily come out to be the best thing. So those are things that I understood and I saw, and then as I continued growing up and just kind of seeing in the majority of just ignorance of like, oh, this person doesn't know or this person is afraid, and then because this person doesn't know, this person is afraid, you can offend someone, and then once you offend someone, you got to different things happen, right? So I've seen this all through life and also been at both ends of it, but being a police officer, let's say I was in Kansas City and this young guy was trying to break into a car or something like that, and then I was able to hear his mindset and to realize like, oh, this person only has a mentality of being on the streets, of not having the resources that he needs to have the education or to do research like most of us have. And it's just like, well, if that's the case, how can we, if I care about my community, how can I judge this person in this form? Right. Because as a police officer, most of my time, it is kind of, it's not even, it's trying to be preventative by being in an area, but we are also, as police officers, more reactive. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even then, I wanted to do something more and more. At certain times I thought it was in school systems, but then school systems has this set kind of grid that it has to go by. So a part of me doing the mystic bit now and telling people what a mystic is, and then also sharing the mindsets of exploring all these different, you know, lifestyles into one would be to say that, you know, we need to come up with better understandings of ourselves, better understandings of others, and better solutions and better methods to not just teach our children, but also to teach our grown-ups how to respond to other individuals and to just solve better problems, better ways to solve problems. What I love about Arizona here is that my children are in an IB school.
What's that?
At, it's an international. It's called like a bachelorette type of thing. It's where they teach. It's like they teach children how to understand about all cultures around here from a very end. And it's like it's like the school they go to is like 1 out of 8 in the whole Arizona. And they have teachers that come from different parts of the country. They have teachers that come from across seas and everything else. And they come here at a very young age teaching Spanish. They come teaching how to truly problem solve, how to start their own business, how to see a situation and work out the situation, better ways to handle your emotions, and not just how to count numbers or how
That's a dope
fake,
school.
fake history. Yeah, it's like
Is that like a
it's
private
math.
school type of thing, or is it kind of like a public thing?
This is a public school here in Scottsdale,
Wow.
right? And by doing that, I see not only the students learning so much more of all cultures, like you have all cultures going to this school. Because I remember my kids, they went to actually like show schools, and then it shows in Lagodi, and they always said to me like, Dad, there's kids looking at me kind of strange because my kids are biracial and they have they have a darker skin, beautiful hair, blue eyes, with and some green, and they're like, why they're looking at me differently, and it's just like they're just not used to your culture.
Your kids are probably looking at them the whole time, and they're just thinking like,
How dare you?
So
"Hey, mix is beautiful." Hey, I'm telling you, light skins is in. That's it.
yeah,
Montell, you
so
know.
here you go.
That's all right. I deserve it. I deserve it. Anyway, go ahead, man. My fault. My fault.
So with them going here, I know, like I said, the decision making to come here, it's like I know that they're going to have the schooling that they're able to actually learn more about different cultures, their ways of learning and understanding, and the percentile of their graduation rate will go up because of the happiness of the students there, but also the happiness of the teachers and the professionalism of the teachers there,
Right.
and the level that they've reached to understand that, I'm not going to teach you like the old ways. I'm going to become inventive, and I want to teach you how to become an entrepreneur, right? To create more businesses for our community, create new ways of living by understanding what we're doing now, but also, the probability of solutions is unlimited. So that's huge.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing about it, that they sold me on, they give them like 2 to 3 recesses, right?
Yeah.
2 to 3 recesses because, like, that kids have maybe 17 seconds of attention span,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, that's how it is. Like when I do live streams,
Mhm.
we never do like ridiculous high numbers. Like,
Yeah.
but we will still have like 4,000 views in a certain
Hmm.
amount of days or something
Right.
like that. But
Mhm.
people just have attention. It's like a TikTok brand. I don't believe in TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. But I
Mhm.
mean, I watch other things like reels sometimes and like
Mhm.
shorts, and
Right.
it's almost like a quicker way to get the cheat sheets. So like I
Mhm.
think that's pretty cool. Yo, matter of fact, Don DeMarco for this school that your kids are going to, bro.
Yeah.
I got to tip my cap to them for seriously doing that, man. I wish I was a child to be able to have the opportunity to go to school like that, and wish like
Mhm.
I could put my child in something like that. It's really cool.
Right. Right. No, that's what it means to, like, when you get, for our parents, we gotta ask ourselves, like, do we want to put our kids through the same thing that we struggle with and that we know we didn't like? And most some people do, because they like, I can't create any other ideas to get out of it.
Right.
I was so programmed in it and I didn't like it, but I still feel like I have to do it and this is the only way. But that's a part of, like, you know, being a successful, just being. It's just like, it's about learning, it's about exploring. It's like you can't take what everybody around you is saying, because show you they can only show you what uh they experienced. It's just like, you got to think about teachers. You got teachers that put their whole life into being a teacher, right? But they're only somewhat given somewhat of information of what they learned within that area. And it's just like, do you want to just graduate and become a teacher like they're doing?
Right.
Or do you want to change your environment? My children are, the oldest is 8, my youngest is 4. We just climbed 2 of the biggest 2,700 feet mountains here in the Phoenix area.
Nice.
We have grown-ups walking by saying this, oh, I wish I had that type of energy now. You know what I mean? And it's just like, the only difference is, were you doing this then when you were young,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
you weren't. You're you know, it's funny, the greatest thing is, you don't never try to get in shape, you stay in shape, right?
Facts. Stay ready
So
so
if
you
you
don't have to get ready.
exactly. So that's the same thing on a mental standpoint, the same thing on a physical standpoint, the same thing on where do you want to live, right? You have those free choices, but if you're wondering how to do it, do the research to do it, and don't be afraid to do it,
Yep.
because you live in fear, then you're just going to live in fear the rest of your life, right?
All right. Well, I once again I agree with you. I'll be honest. I didn't for at the beginning of the podcast. I really didn't know about how much we were going to agree on.
Yeah.
Because I like to when I hear about a specific thing, I just always like to like push. Not necessarily because I think they're wrong. It's just so I can better understand. But like you highlight it, and I notice the common denominator is always going back to it starts here. And
Mm-hmm.
I that's of my mindset. That's why I am such a positive person. Despite what's going on in my life, I will always look at it in the positive light. Like I never
Right.
look at what the next man has. Sure, is it nice to drive a freaking McLaren? Yes. But that comes with a certain type of lifestyle that me personally, I may not want that. And I'm grateful for what I have now. And
Mm-hmm.
when I count what I have as far as my blessings, it keeps me in a positive uproot. So it makes me appreciate what I have because I
Right.
do see what people don't have that I do, and it just makes me appreciate it even more. So like for an example, um like I do a giveaway where me and some people will put a bunch of money together from
Mm-hmm.
donations and stuff, and then we'll go to Little Caesars and we'll buy like 50 pizzas and we'll go give them to the homeless. And people are like,
Yeah.
"Well, why do you do that? What's the purpose?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"It started here. This started as a mental project that I was like, you know what? I can help bring a positive and like good vibe mindset to these people that feel like they don't have anything. And then when I give these pizzas out to these people, I mean, it didn't cost me hardly anything. And the people that donated as well, it didn't really cost them much. But there were so many people that were crying, and I
Mm-hmm.
just said, "Stay positive, don't quit,
Mm-hmm.
and you're eventually going to get through this storm. You know, the
Right.
storm only lasts for so long, and there's always sunshine that comes after. You need to keep your
Right.
mindset on the sunshine and not when it's actively raining on you." So, like, once again, I totally agree with what you said. It starts with a mental makeup, and
Mm-hmm.
if you keep telling yourself something, it's gonna fruition. Like it's gonna happen. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I agree with you on that. Josh, what do you think, man?
No, I agree. And some people want to stay in the storm, and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that we can't judge or put our beliefs on other people, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is what you said. But everything starts in your head because really there is nothing outside of your head. There's things happening and going on, but none of that really affects you
Right.
as much as your internal struggle.
I hate it, but if somebody tells me that they're okay with being in a storm, I'm seriously over here like, shut up, bitch. I'm sorry, I can't get with that, and I feel like I'm not doing my service if I just allow them to accept that. So like when someone's in a negative rut, I will go out of my way to help lift them and find out what that issue is, where that dark shadow is coming from, and try to find a way to reverse it to where their mindset changes. And it's like my favorite saying was to the homeless people is, "I just need you to fight for one more day." That's what I need to keep telling yourself. You keep fighting the fight, and eventually you will get what you want out of it. But it starts here, like you said, Montell. It starts up here to be able to push out and be able to work towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So like,
Right. Right.
I think it's really cool that um no matter what the topic is, it always seems to come back of what you're imagining here. And
Right.
like you said, there's nothing outside of this. This is all you got here. So it's like if you're defeated here, everything else is defeated. So like that I'm actually kind of fascinated with your healing aspects because I'm thinking, well, my God is the only one who's the real healer here, you know? But he gives us
I'm not.
the ability
Mm-hmm.
to heal ourselves by mentally healing ourselves, which makes perfect sense. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the context where most people I feel like probably like they shine a different direction is they would probably think you're trying to actually heal people, and it's like no, like my mental makeup is how I'm able to heal people. Like my positive energy is going to flow through me and push to the next person. Now, whether you believe that or not is a whole nother thing.
Well, that's where I said is just like the work you can't the work proves it. It's to where you have people that come to me said I've been going to doctor for years. I went to chiropractor for years, and then you spend 20 minutes with me, and then you're like, what just happened? And these are not just one or two; these are hundreds. Micus. hundreds. You see what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like, if if I'm not sharing even an ounce of truth, then why am I so confidently continue speaking about this? And then everything that I said, it does resort back to you. And that's the major thing. The thing when we start getting hurt unconsciously is when people take our power, or we take our power away from ourselves. Then that's whenever you can become conquered. For example, you know, we look at wars, right? A person, a victor of a war, is the person that tells the story. A person, a victor of a war, will take your culture, destroy your whole culture, so your newborns won't know it, and then be indoctrinated into what we want them to know, right?
Facts.
So this technique has been done in so many different psychological divisions and ways that people don't even know who they are anymore. They're given slots and say, hey, this is who I am, right? And without actually realizing, no, you're so much more. And you're hindering yourself by saying, this is just who I am. And going back to what you were talking about with the homeless of everything, right? Um, what if homeless people are just people that said, I don't want to play that game anymore?
1,000%. That is how I feel about homeless people. I
Right.
understand certain scenarios, but I literally, I'm so glad you said that, because that's how I feel most homeless people are, because they're capable. They just
Mhm.
accepted the game, and that's what they chose. That's what they choose to live in.
You know who we would probably consider the most homeless people? It would be the native, because they lived off the
They
land.
lived off the land. Sure did.
But what happened? They got their whole culture destroyed,
Yep.
and then was indoctrinated to try to do what
They
people would try to did not know how to live off the
they
land.
were thriving, and they wanted to push a different agenda. So what do? You wipe it out to where people forget about it. Then you have to follow a certain agenda. That's the freaking matrix, dude. I call it the matrix. You can call it whatever you want. That's the system that they try to push, because they want people to rely on medications and to rely on certain things. And they tell you things like fasting isn't important. And they'll tell you other things like, oh, you need this and you need that. But when you go to the makeup of how our ancestors ran everything, dude, people used to live 200 years and longer. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do we go from that to people like not even living to 25? That is like due to health. And you look at the makeup, and it's because they're, unfortunately, it starts from doing things in this certain agenda that they want to push.
So here's the other thing. We're going to make it even isolated, going back to, people in their relationships with other people, right? Um, the idea of what a wife is to their man, right? You're degrading a whole being to serve someone else, right? Like, why? Like, why would, like, I have a daughter, right?
Both of us.
Yeah. So
He
I,
does too.
All of us.
I, I,
Yeah, we
I,
all three got
I,
daughters.
I be, my daughter is never going to serve another man. My daughter is going to possibly find a partner to where you guys are thriving, right? It's like the idea of serving someone, it's kind of like being a servant, and it's like you can work for me, and by working for me, you can feel like you're doing a deed. Or you can have an entrepreneur mentality, and you're going to constantly create new experiences that will create the love that we need for a relationship to thrive, because we're not getting bored on it. We both are putting in just as much energy as we need to, and we're no longer going to go through the statistics of what people are saying that's been through these type of relationships and everything else. I'm not saying that I having a wife is bad or anything like that, but the understanding of uh, what a woman is in our society, I feel is still coming from an area of trauma when they didn't have their rights and everything else. It's still coming from that. So you got to think about, even, and I'm going back to the old sayings, like these women were queens, women were warriors, and alongside of them were men who were kings and warriors. There was no more better than the other. No person, they were saying, hey, this is what we have to do, this is what we want to do. So what type of ideas can we come up with to achieve that? And you don't need to serve me and I don't need to serve you. And I know people may think that I'm kind of nitpicking, but that change of energy is is huge. That affects people long terms. I mean, how many women do you see that's frustrated with men and men frustrated with women, and everybody's looking for this good dude, but still using the same standards that they found the bad dude with, or vice versa, right?
It's a
And
lot.
then
It's a lot.
so as a culture on everyday basis, and I know I've been mentioning it a lot, it's just like men, like, don't try to find, I would say, don't try to find a woman that serves you, right? Try to find a woman that is find dignity in herself, that she has whatever she dreams for herself, right?
Right.
Because then she won't rely on you to do that for her. So then that's a lot more stress off of you to find what you love to do, and without judgment or anything else. And then once you guys are on a level where your vibration is vibrating at this high level of happiness, then you guys bring your organization, your business together, and then create a whole nother new business from there, right?
Yep.
So it's like all of the things that we're talking about, from uh, education, healing, relationships. It all has to do with how we were taught and programmed with history, religion,
Yep.
what we were doing in taught in history, and then it all comes to how are we, the things that we see come into our mind, how are we pushing them back out of our bodies and everything else to create the reality that we want. So I think the greatest message that I think comes from our conversation today, bro, would be like, really think deeply about what you choose to do the research, do the history, and then don't make a rash judgment just because you were taught one way. Like, try new ways, and uncover the hidden paths that most people don't walk.
Your past don't dictate your future.
Sure don't.
Exactly.
Um, how does so? I was going to ask you a kind of a generalized question over everything that we've talked about, and because I had taken some notes, but of course we've already addressed most of them. But how does your healing help today's society? What
Well,
what changes? What effects can you bring that changes that makes the world better?
well, did you know that if you're extremely sensitive to energy, if you're on an airplane, once you're going from one city to the next, you'll be able to feel the collective vibrational field of that area.
I didn't know that. No.
So, um, how this would change it would be, for example, let's say Arizona has these type of schools because they were able to get past selfishness within self or titles to learn about other cultures, to find more solutions. And if you understand another person, then you're more likely to understand that you're more like a person that you think is different than you. But if you're able to understand what makes a person different and why they choose to be different, then you would look at that as an art. And with fine art, you value that, right?
Right.
So my healing clears out the disruption you put inside of your body, and also like on an atomic level, and then you will be able to feel lighter. More ideas will be able to flow through you, like, easily. Your body reflection of your health will be different, so you're staying away from the medication and everything else, right? Your choice in food will be kind of different because you're becoming more in tune with yourself, so you can tell your body will become more in tune with like what feels good to you and what doesn't, right? And you just don't have to listen to someone else telling you that. So you're awakening your full potential of what your body is really meant for, without being prejudged and predetermined by what other people say that your body is. And no one can lie to you once you're able to feel the electric magnetic field. No one can lie to you. You can feel it. So you learn a new language without words. Now, let's say a person can feel and understand that. It makes them harder to control.
Right.
you know Instead of that, you have these new thoughts, and then you don't you don't have fear, then you're asking yourself, well, why don't I just go do what I want to do and do what I love, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, right? Why don't I go? Why don't I go live on a beautiful island without having the thoughts, or I can't do that, right? So the idea of the healing will be able to be like, hey, it's just the door opener to say that all things are possible. And the best way you can feel that is by firsthand feeling the release that your body gives whenever it recognizes the truth and what can be done that's not necessarily talked about. And then from that, great ideas happen. You want to go outside more because you're happier. You want to be more loving to other people because you feel loving in the inside. And then
I'm gonna tell you a way how to bounce off of that. There's a reason why people are happier in the summer and the warmer weathers because of the vitamin D.
there we go. And you know what the sun does? It clears out the stress inside of your body, like the chemicals and everything else.
What is it?
So
It's a natural, spiritual. It's
medicine,
It's a medicine.
right?
That's
And where do you see me mostly at whenever I throw pictures
in the
up?
summer. You're always in the sun.
Always in the sun.
Always in the sun. That makes sense, and that's the reason why in the winter times most people are vitamin D deficient, which usually causes depression and everything else. So that's facts. I just had to add on to that because as soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh shoot, I know exactly what he's talking about. That makes sense." I always see a
Yeah.
lot of your videos and your in pictures, and you're always in the sun.
It's like if I have my significant is a doctor as well. So my team, I got a team that I'm just not talking. I'm just not like a spiritual person, or I'm not spewing out ridiculousness. It's like, no, my team around me is experts in what they do. So then it's just like we we combine our thoughts together and we say, hey, what can we give people? Because we do know I know what's behind the scenes at some of the most high tech uh, medical facilities. I do healing. A part of me coming to Arizona, I literally walked into there's this place, it's called Cosenta, and they get like high profile people. I'm just gonna say that because I don't want to do no HIPAA stuff. They get high profile people. So then it's just like, to be able to walk through and introduce this idea of healing that also blows the mind of people that are well off, it's a whole nother thing than just say it's just a metaphysical thing. You see what I mean? It's so much more. And to see athletes, they go through certain things and be able to work with them, to see doctors go through certain things that are wealthy and then be able to work with them and be open-minded to it, and then see the benefits of it. And then even I work with natives here and homeless people here as well. It's just like, to see all walks of life go through the same thing and then find a true understanding and find relief, and then for themselves have to take the steps to continue to investigate, to continue to be vocal with what they're feeling, and to change the way that their programming is. That, like, why would I do anything else, bro?
Right.
You know,
I feel it.
why
Well,
would I do anything?
Josh, you got any questions for him? Anything at all?
No, just soaking it in.
Dude,
like the sun.
I'll be honest.
That vitamin M. That
Stupid.
Vitamin Montell.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I wish I had a
Yeah.
button for that.
I was just waiting for the vitamin D to somehow turn to a no Diddy joke or something.
No,
We
man,
talked
dude.
about
I tried to go a whole
I
podcast
know.
without throwing a Diddy joke
Yeah,
out
I
there,
can-
man. Yo,
vitamin Diddy.
I don't know what it is. I just have an unhealthy obsession with just throwing random Diddy jokes, good or bad. Like,
Right.
it's just it's just funny to me knowing like everything that happened. And I was such a Diddy guy like growing up. Man, I had
Uh-huh.
Sean John boots. Man, I had the Sean John jean jackets and stuff like that. And then like just to see what he amounted to, I was like, wow, everything was a lie. You know what I mean? As a kid, I was let down. Like
Yeah.
obviously I'm a grown man. I kind of laugh at it now, but like as the inner part of me as a child, I was like, wow, that was a lie. And then I just found out so many more things about like people we grew up watching.
Bill Cosby, Michael
Yeah,
Jackson.
dude, it's all a lie.
So, but we also got to understand that there's also other hidden agendas within that.
You're
There's
right.
So that's why I said we can't give judgment. We have to just really observe, and keep our minds straight, and value the people for the things that we we liked. You know what I mean? If we liked something that they did, I'm not going to stop liking it because they did something that we don't like, right? It's like, no, they had an incredible craft, and because they did these things on their free time that we didn't find out about until later, it's
Right.
just like I'm lying to myself to be like, yo, I don't like Thriller, or Bill Cosby didn't, or that didn't inspire us through the songs, or Bill Cosby didn't give us great lessons, because someone may not have liked these particular people, and then guess what? They could have gave you and set up all this lies, and then what happened? You shifted your own mindset. Now you
100%.
think like this person. So we really got to really pay attention to that and learn to stay still. For example, we were going back to some of the things that I don't like about, the policing and everything, right? It's like, I had a friend that he was basically trying to seem like they make it seem like he was playing Grand Theft Auto in real life, right? And
Yeah, that's
so
6 stars, man.
he got, yeah, and so and with all this other stuff, I know this particular person for years, right? So, and I know things that he got going on behind the scenes, right? And whenever I reached out to people and I see kind of like what he's going through and the things that he would probably have to pay, I don't look at like like, let's say if you get something, you got to pay a ticket because you were speeding, right? So I look at, well, with him paying that ticket, how's that going to affect the mentality of the reason why he was speeding? See what I mean? It's just like, yeah, he's speeding, but why was he speeding? And I'm concerned. My major thing was like, is everybody okay? My major concern to reach out to people, be like, hey, why don't these things going on? One of our friend needs assistance in whatever way necessary. But the response that I was getting was, oh well, he's getting to that age, or if he does the crime, you got to do the time, right? And it's just like, then what friend could you ever say that you were? Because you're judging a person not knowing the exact, like, what truly happened.
Right.
So I don't, for me, it's like, I don't care what happened. Is everybody okay? And what can we do to help this person through this transition?
Right.
And let's say if a person goes someplace, and let's say the bond is 10, and this is what people say in business, the millionaire way of thinking, or entrepreneur way of thinking, right? So let's say if a person bond, if there's a true culture, we can look at it like a true family, we look at it like this as well. If a person bond is 50 uh 50,000 $50,000, right? Or let's just say a million, right? $1 million. You need 50,000 people to pay $20, right?
Right.
50,000 people. How many people are in Amazon?
At least probably 130K.
How many people are following people on social media? Who's
Oh,
called?
everybody has at least 5,000 friends.
Okay. So from that, let's say a friend will pay, let's give $20 to help a person that had to pay $1 million, right? So you see how simple that is if you break it down.
Yeah.
But with $20, what have we done with $20? We put it in our gas tank. We
People have
got
blown $20 off the dumbest things. Let's be
right,
honest.
right. So for a person to say, "Oh, I don't want to help that person has to pay his dues." It's like you're not looking at how it's going to affect their family,
Yeah.
how so psychology wise, right? And it's just like you're not looking at a person spending time or having to pay that much. It's not necessarily worth it. No one got hurt. You know what I mean? It's just like, how can we change that aspect about our community? Not about the government. I don't care about the government. Our community, to where we start thinking on those lines instead of saying, "Oh, if he does the crime, he has like he if he does the crime, he has to pay the time," or something like that. It's more of, as a community, if he's your friend, like, I got your back until we die, right? So, but in order to do that, how can we come up with solutions to, one, get you out of the situation that you're in? Two, how can what's really going on that is not being noticed and is being looked over? And three, the fact that you cannot really discuss it with us is because you only hear people saying, if you do the crime, you got to pay the time. So why would anybody else truly want to open up about what they really are thinking or feeling whenever everyone else is only thinking less of them?
Right.
See what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just like as a community, I feel like in those situations, if we really want to change, we got to change like our way of thinking of solving problems, our way of thinking,
1,000%.
So that's what I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So
No, I totally agree with you. You find out really who's about it when 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 your back is pushed against the wall. You find out who's the real ones, who looks at it like you said into a hey, let's figure this out, or you're gonna have the hey, he did it himself, so let him figure it out.
right, right,
Nobody,
and
it's like nobody's affected until it hits home. You know what I mean?
right, hmm and that's why I feel it's just like we have to get out of that because we all are living in the same place. We all are going through the same things. Let's say you may not be in trouble by law. Let's say that you got hurt or something, and your insurance or something didn't go through,
Right.
right? Or just like in California, you know what I mean? Those fires are going on.
Yep.
What can we do actually to assist these people instead of just saying, "Hey, that's not my problem," or somewhat be concerned about how it happened. It's just like, what can we do to really help these individuals? And that's why, I say right now I'm still observing because it's like, however it happened. But do we know enough information to prevent it from happening again? Or, if we act in a certain way and speak out about it, are we going to become the target, right? So there's magnitudes of ways to solve a problem. And then just like history about Martin Luther King and everything else. There's injustice going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he was talking about the injustice, he
Mm-hmm.
became the target,
Yep.
you know? And then by making an example out of him, it almost shifted all these things that other people will come forth with doing, right?
Right.
So if we're dealing with um, the matrix or the society of, a person is going to try to silence you and then continue leading the sheep off the cliff, you know what I mean? We got to come up with better ways to solve and transforming the sheep instead of saying, hey, I don't want to tell you how to do something, but I want to get you the tools that you're able to do and think about these things on your own.
Right. All right. Well, dude, I know we kind of said that we were only going an hour, but yeah, we
Hey,
exceeded that. And
yeah.
oh, man, dude, I could keep talking like this for hours, man, but I don't want to hold everybody up. We've always got another opportunity on another podcast.
Agree.
But at the same time, I know you're busy. I know you're busy, man. You both have families, same here. Is there any closing remarks, Josh, you got?
No, no. I just thanks Montell for putting up with our unprofessionalism and hanging out with us and being our guinea pig for Google Meet and being here in this apartment all the way from Phoenix, AZ. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, man. I mean, I really I love your message. Yeah, your way of thinking is something that definitely a lot of people need to think about, whether they not necessarily change to it, but to understand that there's many views. There's 8 billion people in this world, so that means 16 billion eyes. So there's everybody seeing stuff a different way, and no one way is the right way.
Yeah.
Right. 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 And
Uh,
like,
no, go ahead.
yo, I appreciate you guys having me. I always love to chat it up with friends. And like I said, I'll be popping in and here and there whenever you guys be doing other discussions. I see what you
Yeah,
guys are
dude,
and
I still got to get Donovan in here,
yeah.
so we can have this relationship debate, man. I think it's gonna be great. You started hitting on a couple of things of those, but like I chose not to pick at those because he's not here and he's sick.
Right.
Which Donovan, man, we hope you get better, man. Um, we always there's always another opportunity. I'm gonna make that happen. I know Montell, I'm grateful for you. Not only from the many years that we've always been friends and close, but just who you've become. You know what I mean? Like, When I you was one of the first few people I met when I had transferred to Plaza in middle school, and to see how we've evolved is it's really cool, man. It's really cool, and I feel like I was great. I was blessed enough to be friends with you. You know what I mean?
Vice
And
versa.
it's really cool to see what you've become, and I know it's only gonna get better, and it's gonna keep going like wine. It's just gonna keep aging and getting better like fine wine, man.
Mm.
So we'll end the pod. My closing remarks really is just take what this man has said, and just even if you only retain a little bit, try to implement it in your daily life and use it as like an exercise and keep repeating it, and just work on your mental makeup in difficult situations. It starts with practicing, so practice when things are going good too. But
Hmm.
and then really following those cores that maybe something you picked out in this podcast that you maybe want to implement, that may help get you through a difficult time, to where like this whole podcast was beneficial. I don't care about the hour and 40 minutes, even if you got 30 seconds of something that can stick with you a lifetime, that you can pass amongst the generations. So, my closing remarks is just make sure you guys take at least something out of this and try to bring it into a positive light in your life, to where it can help change for the better.
All right.
What do you
That's
got?
dope.
What kind of closing remarks you got for me, brother?
Uh, Skies are no longer the limits. So uh, sometimes when you get into an atmosphere that no one is used to being in, do not be afraid and look down and go backwards. Continue going up. Find new ways to explore the universe in your own way. And the only person that can truly give you judgment is yourself, because no one else truly knows how you feel or how you think. So just be you.
Just be you, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we appreciate you coming in, man. We're gonna make this happen again. Thank the kiddos for allowing you, or for allowing us to steal you for a little bit. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Candace, we appreciate you as well. The family at home, my girl Sophie, we appreciate all of you for allowing us to have this man time, because obviously we could all be doing something, differently right now. So I'm grateful for every single one of y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful for you as well. We appreciate you tuning into the Immaculate podcast. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Jump on that YouTube page. Jump on the the Facebook podcast page. Not only just my page, guys. Go check out Montell Heroes podcast as well. Montell, how often do you do your videos?
I usually do it every third Thursday,
Every
like I
third
said,
Thursday. Okay, so
of the
what's the
month.
next date for that?
It would be, I believe, like the 23rd.
Okay, the 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd of this month. And like I said, on this one, I have no idea what we're talking about. It's because I always try new things. I let people just come in, talk about, bring new ideas, and then say, okay, well, let's discuss it. I have no idea what's going to go on. But every time we do have a discussion, I really feel like something is said that anyone can walk away with. So I'm pumped about it, and I hope you guys are too. Like I said, it's on Montell Hero. Supernatural Thursdays, and just come have a great conversation. You can get in the conversation, and we just go there and let it just evolve from there.
Heck yeah.
All
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe. And the next time we see you, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
right.
Peace.
Peace.